Butler versus Wisconsin. Thursday, Sweet 16 action. Who do you like and why?
Well, the world's in love with Butler, but I'm going to say the Butler doesn't do it today. I'm going to go with Wisconsin here, and this is not, for everybody out there that's going to say, oh, Marco's still mad at Butler for knocking Pitt out. That's not the case. I've got some things here that we're going to talk about why I like Butler, or why I don't like Butler in this matchup. Butler frustrated Pitt to some degree.
You're excited.
I haven't gotten over the weekend of Pitt losing. Let me tell you, not the fact that they didn't cover, just that they didn't lose. I mean, I'm a big Pitt fan, obviously. They did lose, but the interesting part of it, and it's part of this handicap, and you bring it up, they did lose. But when I point out a couple stats from the Pitt-Butler game, and that's what I'm talking about here, you would actually think Pitt won the game. Rebounding, Pitt out-rebounded them 33-22, and Pitt outshot them 56-46 percentage-wise.
Okay, so let's remember, we always want to lead with the lead. Who do you like and why?
I like Wisconsin.
Why?
Because Wisconsin is a fundamentally sound team and plays the style that Butler plays. We talk about contrasting styles in the tournaments all the time, and I think Butler was able to disrupt Pitt enough in that first half to get them out of their rhythm that they were, playing their style of basketball. Pitt played differently in the second half, made a big run. They were down double digits in the first half.
So you're saying Butler was able to make Pitt play Butler's way. Now you're saying Butler and Wisconsin want to play the same way. Thus now it's about who's going to be able to execute better.
And Wisconsin, by far, they don't score a lot of points, and this is what's misleading about this Wisconsin team. You look at their point total sometimes, and you say, they're garbage, there's low scoring, but they're so efficient with the basketball. They just don't get as many shots off. I mean, they work the clock, they pass the ball well, and they get a high percentage shot. They execute well, they keep you into the low-scoring game. They don't turn the ball over. And this is one of the things that if you go and look at Butler's last 3 games, which they won their conference championship in the first 2 games in the tournament, they had a huge edge on turnovers, 43-29 in the last 3 games. Wisconsin, 16 of their last 17 games, they've had less than 9 turnovers or less in the game.
All right, so you're saying it's interesting because there's 2 general types of games. One is where there's varied styles, who's going to make the other play left-handed, as Belichick likes to say, and the football announcers that talk about Belichick like to say. Other hand, they both want to play the same way, who's going to be better. That's in some way a simpler handicap, right? You're just saying Wisconsin's the better team, and thus they both are going to play the same way, Wisconsin's better. Now, at 5, they better be better. I mean, 5, this is what strikes me. You see a North Carolina, a 2-seed play, and it feels like that line, you see the game ends up 4, and you think, geez, the dog must have covered if you didn't know the line. But really, in this Sweet 16 round, unless it's a rare exception, lines are like 2 and 3, even when you think the teams are very different. Here, 5 is a pretty extreme line.
And again, and a lot of times we go to this conversation, it doesn't make sense. When I saw the 5, it confirmed my handicap.
So what was your guess that the line would be?
I thought that this line would be 3.5 or 4, and nobody would think anything different of it. The fact that they did bring it out, they actually opened it at 4.5, and it was bet to 5 right away, confirmed my thoughts.
So that's the difference between, which isn't the case here, a value play versus a trap play. You're saying Butler's and this is something I talked about with Zach Lawson on Today in Sports Betting that I hosted, and actually that's going to be up at pregamepodcast.com through Thursday. He gave me about 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes on each of the 16 teams. And one of the things we talked about on Butler was, here's a team that the general public who hasn't been following Butler all year knows a couple things. They made the finals last year, and that they're in the Sweet 16 this year. But in truth, they're an 8 seed. In truth, they didn't have a great year. And the fact that they're getting 5 here, I'm guessing that at Sportsbook Spy, there's going to be a majority of people on Butler come game day. That's why you think it's a trap. It's too much, but it's too appealing for the Butler batter.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go all the way and make this my best bet. I like Wisconsin in this game. I like their execution. They're a team, again, in the Big Ten. Everybody looks at Ohio State, and then everybody else is in the shadow of them. This team's flown under the radar. They've been solid all year, and I think what people, when they look at Wisconsin coming into this tournament, all they saw was the last regular season game. They got drilled by Ohio State on the road. Then they go into the Big Ten tournament, and they had that horrible game against, I called it the paint dry game against Penn State, where it was 36-33. And sometimes when fans, and we say they only see what they see with their eyes, they can't get off that, those two performances, and I still say they're flying under the radar here. I like them. I have them winning the game by 9.
Now, all right, so that's your official projection.
69-60.
Now, you haven't had a great tournament.
No, I have not.
All right. Now, clearly the tournament's been 4 days of action.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to have a bad 4 days. Your mindset as a handicapper now, how does it change? Now, clearly if you had 4 winning days, you would feel enthused, you would feel energized, you would feel confident. How do you handle the flip side, though, not an extreme flip side, but a 4-day, downturn?
What was frustrating for me was Saturday and Sunday. The first 2 days, we lost on Thursday. Friday, I won. In the games I lost on Thursday, I had a couple that were right there at the end at the bucket. So I wouldn't feel bad.
You felt like you were on it, but just didn't go your way.
Saturday is the day that really, frustrated me. I really liked a couple ball games a lot on Saturday, and they didn't fall. Just one of those things.
So is it this simple? It doesn't affect me at all? That I've been doing this 31 years, and I know I'm good, I'm fine. Because let's be honest, the tournament is a different animal. I keep saying that, and sometimes, in a way, the 31 years doesn't matter. In a way, the 25-game win streak doesn't matter. You could start to second guess, do I get a handle on this tournament? Have you done that?
No, that's the biggest mistake you can make, is if you start second guessing yourself. If all of your plays are totally getting blown out of the water, you might want to reassess some of your thought processes on things. But the fundamentals, you got to go with what brought you to the dance, and no pun intended.
What brought you to the buffet?
Yeah. But this is a situation, and we did very well in the conference tournaments, and historically we've done very well in these tournaments. It was one of those.
You've had
weekends.
a good NCAA history.
I've had a great NCAA history, yes.
All right. Okay. Boy, I got sucked into that Gonzaga too, because I told you in that, and I was talking about it on that podcast.
Yeah. Sack got an assist for sucking you in too.
No. Sam Clayton.
Sam Clayton, that's right.
He sucked me in. He said, there's only 4. First of all, Sam's videos have been a huge hit.
Yes.
He's been a great contributor. But, hey, you get the praise, you get the blame. I'm telling you right now, I was looking to fade Gonzaga. Right. I just felt like it was the same as Butler. Mm-hmm. But then he gave me that stat. All right, so I'm a little upset about that.
I know one thing on a side note. I'm not saying anything bad about Jimmer Fredette again on video, because, boy, we got lambasted with it. They love this guy.
Who's that?
People that make comments on YouTube and stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah.
I think Butler, to me, is analogous, or there's a similarity to Gonzaga. And like we said, team that has a marqueeness that you wouldn't expect as a mid-major, but simply does, and overrated. But here's the thing, and here's what it's back to that trap game, is you're saying Wisconsin's flying under the radar, except they're laying 5. They're not flying under. I wonder what in the heck would Kansas be laying here? What would Kansas be laying here?
I understand what you're saying, but I'm still locked into...
I asked you a question. What would Kansas be laying here?
Kansas would be laying 9.
9? Mm-hmm. How much?
8 or 9 on the game. If you got Wisconsin laying 5, you have to.
But no. Let's compare it to what Pitt was laying to Butler. What was Pitt laying to Butler? 8, right?
7.5, yeah.
7.5. Now, Butler clearly is the better team right now. Clearly better than people thought
they were.
If Pitt played Butler again, what would the line be?
I would probably be
6.5.
It would be 5.5 off the adjustment.
So now, what would the line between Wisconsin and Pitt be?
You know, Pitt, depending on how,
Pitt, you think
if
we're
they would have
between
won
a
by
half and
if they
four.
would have won by one, you know, instead of
Yeah.
losing by one, you probably would have had Pitt here a 4.5-point favorite.
So these numbers don't add up. And I agree with you, they don't add up. So now if you're playing it as a true trap game, I'm fine with that. But to me, the value doesn't add up. I don't want to fade your traps, and I also don't want to back Butler, so I'm going neutral.
All right, well, I'm going best bet. You know, the one bright spot in last week's videos, we had 3 of them, was we went 1 and 2. We did win the best bet. So
We didn't go 1 and 2. I agreed on the best bet, and it won too.
I can't wait. All I know is I'm 6 and 3 with the best bet. So let's make it 7 and 3. Get Wisconsin home.
All right, so we'll get real quick. I'm looking at the main camera. $10 coupon you can use. How long does this go through?
Goes through Sunday. Through
All the way
Sweet
through Sunday. Any Sweet 16. It's sweet, and the number's 10. SWEET. Is that right? Yeah,
That's right.
I got that right. The number 10. You get $10 off anything you want. You're in the shopping cart. You apply your coupon code, and you're good to go. $10 off. And if you got something less than $10, you get it free. Any closing thoughts, Marco?
Nope. Enjoy the Sweet 16, and we've got another one for Friday.
All right, so up next, we're going to be talking Friday Sweet 16. We got Richmond versus Kansas. Now it's your turn to continue the conversation on this game with Marco and me. We'll be right back.